Ownership rests at the base of the American blueprint. Our nation's framers were not just proprietors of land and humans, they also controlled the narrative. One of America's most well-known narratives, the relationship between President Thomas Jefferson and his slave Sally Hemings, first made national news as political scandal. Enemies of Jefferson attempted to tarnish his reputation and career by exposing his sexual, or romantic, relationship with an enslaved woman. Derogatory terms like Dusky Sally and Black Sal proliferated to describe Hemings. But because of her enslaved status, Hemings was never able to contribute anything to that story. With her new book Reclamation, Sally Hemings, Thomas Jefferson, and a descendant's search for her family's lasting legacy, Amistad, 288 pp. Out of 4, out now, Gail Jessup White begins to shift the scales. A descendant of Jefferson and Peter Hemings, Sally's brother, White not only gives voice to her black ancestors but adds historical significance to a new generation of Hemingses and Jeffersons. Amazon releases its Best Books of 2021 list, an embarrassment of riches. At the beginning of White's journey of self-discovery is Aunt Peachy. Peachy excitedly and habitually informed Janice, White's sister, that they were descendants of Jefferson. Janice indirectly passed the oral history down to White, and White, a former news broadcaster, breathed life into the family's oral history. Despite the family's comfortable middle-class status, the marriage of White's parents began to loosen at the seams. Seeking respite from a marriage impasse, White's mother pursued an extravagant social and vocational life away from home. Eventually, Mom would leave us for days and weeks at a time on trips to Europe, Asia, and the Caribbean, writes White. White, alone with her father, Cedric Jessup, began to ask about the family lore. It took time for the naturally reticent Jessup to grow receptive to his daughter's questions. One day, while watching golf, Jessup unleashed the pain of his family's saga. "I don't know much about my mother. I'm not even sure of her name," Jessup said. He died when I was 5 years old. Nicole Hannah Jones, The 1619 Project, The Office Oral History. Gradually, over the next 40 years, White's meticulous research, poring over original documents and census records, DNA tests, and academic studies, validated Aunt Peachy's oral history. White's diligence attracted the attention of Lucia Stanton, a senior historian at Jefferson's Monticello, the president's primary plantation in Charlottesville, Virginia. With Stanton's help, White identified her paternal grandmother and great-grandmother, Eva Robinson and Rachel Robinson, respectively. Rachel's brother Cure turned out to be Jefferson's great-great-grandson. This means Jefferson is White's 5 times great-grandfather. After winning a fellowship at the International Center for Jefferson Studies, White learned that Sally Hemings, her 2 times great-grandmother, was the daughter of Peter Hemings, an enslaved chef and brewer. That made Peter Hemings White's 4 times great-grandfather, and Sally Hemings White's 4 times great-aunt. Racial caste is also a striking theme that runs through Reclamation. Throughout her tireless research, White learned of several family members who'd had to shed their blackness in order to live safely in a white world. 3 of Jefferson's and Hemings' children passed for White. Along White's own historical journey, she met a cousin who did not know he was black until he was a young adult. White's father also had strong opinions about whiteness and the meaning of being black in America. "If I had my druthers, I'd rather be white," Jessup admitted. Reclamation flourishes in bringing a new generation of Hemings and Jeffersons out of the shadows. But more importantly, this forceful piece of micro-history builds on the brilliant and breathtaking scholarship of Annette Gordon Reed's The Hemingses of Monticello, an American family, while adding a sturdy stone onto America's shaky blueprint.